Hey, it's Ruby. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be doing my August reading wrap up, which is one of my favorite videos to film. I say it every month, but it is. I also really like TBR videos and I miss doing TBR jar videos. I think I'm going to start doing them again in September, but with like 5 books because I plan a lot of videos, a lot of reading vlogs. I do a lot of reading vlogs on this channel and I don't think I can handle too many books from like a set TBR list. You know what I mean? Anyway, we have 15 books to get through, but it wasn't such a successful month in terms of ratings. I didn't have any 5 stars. And then I did have a DNF, unfortunately, which sucks, but it is what it is. And all of these were featured in a reading vlog with the exception of 4. Everything else is in a reading vlog, which I really like. I really like having, the books that I read be in reading vlogs because then you can see my actual reactions as we're going through. But let's start off with the first one, the DNF, because I read over 200 pages of this book. I counted it because it was like a whole book in itself. But I couldn't push through. I just could not. And that is none other than Goddess of the River by Vaishnavi Patel. I really wanted to love this because I just got it and it is beautiful. It's a Illumicrate special edition and I didn't want to unhaul it. It was part of one of those bookshelf ultimatum videos, but it's an ultimatum for a reason. So I stayed true to my word and I did unhaul it and listed it on my Pango because that's like the most important rule of that video. If you DNF something, you have to unhaul it because why would I keep it on my shelves? And this is just because it's got that historical fiction vibe going on that I didn't love it because I don't love that genre. And that's just a me thing. I did think the book was good. And if you watch a reading vlog, you know that it's told in parts and I ate up part 1. It was so good. But then the story shifted and I didn't like where we were going. But I do think that it's probably a good book. I read half of it. I'm sure the other half is good too. It just wasn't for me. And I have too many books to push through things that are not for me. So DNF for this one, unfortunately. It's so pretty. Then on to the books that weren't in reading vlogs. I just picked them up because I wanted to. The first one I don't own. It's The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. I fully intend to buy this book, but it got released in hardcover and I only like paperback for my romances. So I'm going to wait for that because I love this book. It was so good. I did not expect to love it as much as I did, but Christina Lauren's books are very hit or miss for me. I don't know. I guess it's like that for romance, but Christina Lauren released so many books. They really write. And I feel like it's hit or miss, but this was such a hit. It was so fun. It was so fun. Our FMC was just the funniest character that I've read in a while. She was so witty. The banter was amazing. I love the relationship that the 2 main characters had. I had to go get my reading journal because I forget things, you guys. I literally just read this at the beginning of the month and I've already forgotten it because the brain just doesn't want to work. Okay, so yeah, I finished this on August 4th and their names are Anna and Liam. Those are their names, Anna and Liam. So Anna and Liam meet in college and they both need housing and they end up talking to each other and they're like, hey, they really don't even know each other. They're not friends. They just happen to be in the vicinity and they decide they're gonna get married in order to get the housing because you have to be, what's it called when you have to, it's like family housing, I think. So yeah, they get married just to get housing until they finish college. And then the deal is that, once they graduate, they'll get a divorce and they both agree to it. So they go their separate ways after college and it turns out they really did not get divorced because of a happenstance. And now Liam is seeking Anna out because he needs her help. He needs her to go off on this freaking vacation of the rich with him and his family. And she's like, dude, I haven't talked to you in years. So naturally she says yes. And she goes, and it is so fun. I was just giggling and laughing, and it was incredibly predictable, but in the best of ways. It was fun, a fun time. If you are a lover of romance, you'll like it. Another one that I read simply because I felt like it and I had it on Libby is A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. I read this because I've read The 7-Year Slip by this author, and then the premise of this book sounded so cool. Essentially, we follow our main character, what's her name? Again, I don't remember anything. Eileen, who also goes by Elsie. We follow Elsie, and she's a lover of books. She herself grew up with books. Her mom was a librarian, and she's had reading in her life her whole life. She literally majored in English because she didn't know what she wanted to do with her life, but she knew that she loved books. So she majored in English, and she's a college professor, and she joins this book club with her bestie, and it's a virtual book club, but eventually they decide to meet every year and do like a bookish retreat and get together and kind of have a vacation, and just, it sounds like it's an amazing time. I can't relate because I have no friends and no book club, but she decides that she's gonna go this year to the retreat even though nobody else can go. But she's just like, I need this. So she goes. She's fresh off a lot of tragic stuff that has happened to her, and her car ends up breaking down in this little town, and she doesn't know where she is. She soon realizes that she has been stranded in the town of her favorite romance novel, like her favorite book of all time. She's in the town. The characters are the townspeople, and she does not know what the hell's happening and how she's even there. But she's excited because, like, who wouldn't be excited to crash land into their favorite fictional town? I would. So the premise sounded so cool, but I just didn't like it. I found myself kind of bored at times. And at the beginning, I was intrigued. But then I was like, no, the execution it was just not there. And I just didn't feel their chemistry. Like, I wasn't vibing with it. I felt like it was a little infuriating at the end because of what the MMC does. I didn't love it. And I ended up giving this one 2 stars. I found that I was just like, okay, it can end now. But I didn't want to DNF it because I was so close, and I also wanted to know how it ends because, like I said, our MMC does something, and I was like, seriously, you're gonna do that? Okay, that's a choice that you made. But I was fully judging, and I was annoyed. So, I mean, if you have nothing else to do and you want to pick up the audiobook like I did, go for it. It's not gonna like ruin your life, but it's not gonna change it either. Next up we have Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. So I have all these? Yeah, I have the rest. So Not in Love, Ali Hazelwood's newest release. This is the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition, which honestly I think it's just that it's metallic and then it has the art print. But I was really excited for this because I do tend to like Ali Hazelwood's books. Like, they're okay. They're not amazing, but I do have some that I really like Check and Mate, Love Theoretically, The Love Hypothesis. Those are 3 that I do like. The other ones I could do without, and this is included in the ones that I just didn't love. Like I said, it was a frustrating month because I wanted to love a ton of these books and I didn't. Not in Love. It's another of her STEM novels, and in this one we follow Rue and we follow Eli. Rue is this chemical something or other, because again, this is one of her STEMness novels. Biotech engineer. Completely wrong. She's a biotech engineer, and she's working at this company called Klein, who ends up in hot water. Eli's company, Harkness, ends up acquiring the loan that Klein had, like a huge loan. Harkness buys this loan essentially taking control of Klein indirectly, and they're just looking for a reason to take them down. So they insert themselves into the company, into Klein. They start interviewing people, and obviously our FMC's not here for that because she feels like they're threatening her job and her patent that she has been working on under Klein. And these two end up meeting before this whole situationship because they matched on an app, but they are like emotional cripples. They really don't want connection. They just want to have fun, right? And they're both on the same page, but something happens where they end up not being able to hook up that night. And yeah, the next day they meet and they're like, because now they have to work together, and it's rocky. But I just felt like it had no substance, no depth, and it probably does. It's just stuff that I didn't connect with. Like the stuff that she was going through, I didn't connect with. And then he went through some things when he was young, but we really don't fully see how that impacted him now. I just didn't care. I didn't care about him. I didn't care about her. I didn't care about them. I just didn't care. And I was ready for it to end. Their relationship is very physical from the start because, like I said, they met because they just wanted to hook up, and they continue that. The spice started off at the beginning, but I don't care about that. So I didn't love it. Honestly, I could have done without this one. 2 stars for this book. 2.5. I think I gave it 2.5. But I probably won't reread it. So I need to go through and unhaul books, but be like truly, truly ruthless. Like with Ali Hazelwood's books, I buy them all. And I probably shouldn't do that, but I do. I don't know. I need to stop. Let's go through these faster because I feel like I'm talking so much. But Air of Fire was another one that I finished. I like this. I gave it 4.5 stars. The first half was slow as hell, like all the other ones have been. But then the second half was really good. It picked up. I intend to do a whole reading vlog for the Throne of the Glass series. Hopefully. I hope that it happens. But if not, we'll talk about it somehow. But I'm not going to get into this because it's really like smack dab in the middle of a series. So you can't really talk about it without spoiling stuff. But I like where it's going. I feel like all the action's about to start and I'm ready for it because it's been a little boring so far. I like Throne of Glass and then I was kind of bored until the latter half of this book. So I'm ready for Queen of Shadows. 4.5 stars for this one. I liked it. And now we're in reading vlog territory. All the rest of the books can be found in reading vlogs that I'll link in a card and down below. So the first one is 28 Summers. This was my romance pick for one of my bookshelf ultimatum videos. And I was excited about this because it's like women's fiction. And that's something that I don't really read. But I want to be exposed to all the genres so that I can make a decision on whether I truly don't like them or, you know. And I feel like I was a little dismissive in the reading vlog in terms of the genre. I'm sure I will pick up another Ellen Hildebrand or someone else's book in the future. Just, I don't need it right now after this because, like I said, I feel like I'm very used to romance where it's very black and white. FMC, MMC, they meet, they have conflict, then they fix it and they end up together. It's a formula. But with this, it's different. And I talked about it a lot in the reading vlog, but it was very much more a story about life and the choices that we make as humans, the mistakes that we make, the excuses that we give ourselves to be okay with our choices. But there is this, I don't want to say trope, I guess it is a trope, but something in here that is prevalent throughout the whole book, and it's not a spoiler because it literally says it in the back, that they get together for 1 weekend per year affair. And so a lot of people don't like cheating, myself included, but I'm a fantasy reader. I like escapism and even romance. Like romances don't feel real to me most of the time. It's like absurd most of the time, but I like that. The stuff that reads real like this, like give me a dragon, give me something. These are just a little scary to me. Like I read for escapism, and things that are like this are very real. And that being said, I did suspend my thoughts on the cheating and all that to push through for the reading vlog. And I gave this 4 stars because I do think it was a good story. I like the way that it was written. It's written literally like every chapter is a summer. So we'll have like summer 1. And then I like that in the beginning, like here it says summer 1. What were we talking about in 1993? Waco, Texas, the World Center bombing, Arthur Ashe, REM. It gives you a bunch of little things like that were going on that year, and I like that. I don't know. I gave it 4 stars. I feel like if you like women's fiction, this is really popular. It was her highest rated book, which is why I picked it up. Just keep in mind that it does have cheating in it throughout the whole book. So if you don't like that, then you're not gonna like this because it's the whole book. I read a singular thriller this month, The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. It's the only Riley Sager book that I've ever read, and I thought it was okay. I'm new to thrillers, so I don't have a ton of opinions about them. I gave it 3 stars. I felt like a lot of people were not happy with this because they said that the twist reveal or whatever was unrealistic, and yeah, it was, but it's a thriller and it's a book. So 3 stars for this one. But I'll probably never think about this again, to be honest. Then we have a sci-fi fantasy hybrid that I was so excited to read, but also really nervous to read because I wanted to love it. And that I did. Gideon the Ninth by Tenzin Mir. Book 1 in this series. Listen, I really like this. In the beginning, I started listening to the audiobook and I wasn't fully paying attention. And let me just warn you that you must pay attention because there's so many characters. They have different positions and they matter because they all come up. And if you don't pay attention, you're going to be like, wait, who said what? You know what I mean? Pay attention. Don't be me. Pay attention. But once I put down the audiobook and picked up the physical book, it got good. I love Gideon. She's so funny. Like, the humor in this book, the language, there is cursing and all that. So if you don't like that, you're not gonna like this. But I loved it. I loved her relationship with Harrow. I'm excited to move on to book 2, Harrow the Ninth. This was so good. It is taking place not in space, but in a different planet. And it was fun. We have kind of a little mystery element in it. So unique. Nothing that I've read has been similar to this. Loved it. 4.5 stars for Gideon the Ninth. Can't wait to read Harrow. So good. Then we have a YA romantasy, and unfortunately I didn't love this. Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. And this is a duology, and I do have the second book. I do intend to read the second book, but if I don't love it, I'm gonna unhaul the duology because one of the little rules that I have in my bookshelf ultimatum videos is that if a book is under 3 stars, then I unhaul it. But if it's part of a series, I can keep it because just because you don't like one book in the series doesn't mean you're gonna hate them all. And I didn't hate this. It just wasn't really for me. It was a little too YA, too young adult. But in this one, we follow Mi Young, who is a Gumiho, which is a 9-tailed fox, and she ends up saving this kid Ji-hoon, and he sees that she is a Gumiho, so she kind of gets spooked, but then she's like, I'm never gonna see that kid again. Well, the next day she's starting a new school, and who's there? Ji-hoon. Of course he is. Of course he is. But he is just like the friendliest, most golden retriever-y boy ever, and he's like, I'm not gonna tell anybody your secret. She's standoffish. She doesn't trust him. She ends up in a bit of a bind because she loses her fox speed and doesn't really know anything about fox speeds or herself, if we're being honest. So I just didn't love it. I gave it 2.5 stars. Like I said, I'm probably gonna end up unhauling the duology, which is sad because these are pretty new books to me, but we'll see. Hopefully Vicious Spirits is better and I keep it, but it's not looking good. Then I did a reading vlog where all we did was finish series or catch up to the latest book. The first ones that we caught up with was the Powerless series, Powerless trilogy. I read Powerful first and then Reckless. Powerful, we follow Adina's story, which is Peyton's best friend, which we know what's gonna happen to her because we find out at the end of book 1, Powerless. So we know how this is gonna finish, but this is the little lead up and everything that she did while Peyton was off, you know, doing the trials and all that stuff. It was sweet. I liked it. I liked Mac. I hope that we get to see him in the final book, Fearless, because he did not come out in this. So it was cute. A short little novella, 3.5 stars. Reckless. I was so excited for this because I loved Powerless. And listen, I know Powerless is not for everyone. I know that it's not the best book out there, but I was so entertained. I was so entertained. I love the characters, the banter. So I really liked Powerless and I gave it 5 stars. Reckless, didn't like this. It was just, it could have been an email. We could have just gotten the last chapter in an email and we would have been fine leading up to Fearless, which is saying something because I loved Powerless. I gave it 5 stars. This just nothing happened. Truly nothing happened other than that like last chapter. So we could have done without this. Lauren herself, the author, said that this was just I don't even know. I don't remember what she said. But she essentially says it's just a filler book to get to Fearless, which I couldn't believe she said that. But like I said in the reading vlog, it very much was just a filler book. I still gave it 3 stars because I did like it. I didn't like hate it. It's just not a lot happened. And the romance was, it just wasn't as good as it was in the first book. I really like the banter of the first book. I gave it 3 stars because I am attached at this point. Then we concluded the Red Rising trilogy, the first trilogy, with Morning Star. Red Rising is a sci-fi book, sci-fi fantasy book that is pretty cool, pretty interesting. So we follow Darrow, who is a red. In this universe, there's a caste system. The reds are at the bottom, the golds are at the top. Essentially, just humans have evolved into something else and they all have their different things, and based on that, that's how they're essentially put into this caste system. So the reds are really resilient people. They're built to mine. The golds are just like, they're the tallest and the biggest and the smartest and the brightest and the prettiest. Like, they are the leaders, the rulers of this world. So our main character Darrow is a red, and he essentially becomes the face of the revolution to overthrow this caste system that is just shit for all of the low colors in this world. This is the conclusion, and I have to say I was pretty let down. I still gave it 4 stars, but I had a hard time getting through this book. I felt like the only reason that I got through it was because of Severo. He was my favorite character. For the full thoughts, check out the reading vlog because I did talk about it a lot more in detail, but I don't regret it. All in all, the second book, Golden Sun, was my favorite, and I will read the next trilogy following 10 years after this. Just not now. We need a break, and then I'll get to it some other time. Another book series that we caught up with was Magnolia Parks, Into the Dark, which is the third and final book in Magnolia and BJ's story. We're still getting 2 more books in the Magnolia Parks universe, but they're both going to be Daisy Hates books, which I hope that we're still going to be seeing Magnolia and BJ and Jonah and Henry and everybody else, Tora, even though, you know, we're done with Magnolia's story. I have to say I didn't love this. I felt like nothing really happened. It was just Magnolia dealing with her struggles, her trauma, her mental health issues, her eating disorder, and BJ being there for her, and then Magnolia not trusting BJ. Any little thing would set her off and she would go and confront BJ, and then BJ would tell her that he didn't do anything. It was just annoying. But I love these characters. I love the world. I love this series. And because of that, I still gave this 3.5 stars. I did love the ending. The conclusion to their story, I was happy that they finally got there. But I think what's fun about these books is the getting there. The drama, the shit show that these books are is just top tier. Peak drama. Peak entertainment. And then the last 2 books that I read in the month, I concluded the Kingdom of the Wicked trilogy. I read Kingdom of the Cursed and Kingdom of the Feared. In this world, we follow our main character, what's her name? Amelia. we follow Emilia, and Emilia in the first book loses her sister. Her twin sister dies tragically, and she's trying to solve the murder of her sister because she's convinced somebody murdered her, and she wants to know who did it. And she's just out for blood, man. She's pissed. She wants vengeance. They're taking out the trash. So we follow Emilia, and she's trying to figure out her sister's murder. She ends up summoning a prince of hell, a literal demon, and she teams up with him to solve the murder because he wants to figure out who's killing her for his own reasons. Like, they have different motivations, but same end game. So they team up, and then in book 2 we continue to follow them, except now they're in hell. They are actually in hell, and we get some more story. And then book 3 we are getting all these answers. But book 2, I liked it. I gave it, what did I give it? 3.75 stars. This one, didn't love it. I think I gave this one 2.5 stars. It was an okay trilogy. I don't regret it, but I wouldn't say that it's one of my faves. But the reason I read this was to get to Throne of the Fallen, which I can now do. Like I said, don't regret it, but it wasn't amazing. But if you want to read Throne of the Fallen, which apparently is amazing, I would read this because you get to know the characters, the world heading into Throne of the Fallen, and the subsequent books in that series. You meet them all. So I do recommend you pick this one up. And that is it. Those are the 15 books that I read in the month of August. September should be a good month because I have a lot of plans, and I feel like a lot of those books are 5-star potentials. Like, I'm ready for 5 stars. I didn't have any this month, but I know that one of those books is gonna be 5 stars. Like, there's no freaking way that with the lineup that I have for myself, one of those isn't gonna be 5 stars. So stay tuned because I have a lot of reading vlogs planned. Hopefully they happen because your girl reads slow, and the way that I've been dilly-dallying, I need to get to it. But thanks so much for hanging out today. As always, if you enjoyed today's very chatty wrap up, give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you soon with another one. Bye.